Do not get solar. Learn from my mistakes.
Don't put solar panels on your home.
Well, here's another reason why solar panels suck.
It's produced no electricity since it was installed.
I only got $20,000 worth of solar panels added to my Palm Springs Airbnb, and here's how it affected my electricity bill.
Let's talk about these bad boys right here.
The thing that I regret the most in doing is these goddamn solar panels.
All right, solar panels. Are they a scam? Are they good? Are they bad? Let's talk about it. There are so many people out there that are happy, so many people that are not. Well, here's my opinion. We're going to talk about it. As somebody that deals with these things all the time, let's get to it.
Solar panels added to my Palm Springs Airbnb, and here's how it affected my electricity bill. So this time last year in March, it was still $557. This is March of 2024, so after getting solar panels, my bill only $36, but that's actually not the full bill. This is just the charges to stay connected to the grid. In Palm Springs, we have two different utility companies, so the first one charged me $101 for electricity this month, which is $200 less than they usually do, and the other utility company charged me only $143, so that's also like $200 less than they used to. In total, my bill with solar panels was $280, so that's a 49% decrease in my bill, and that's because we didn't get as big of a solar system as we needed. You probably need like a $40,000 system to fully cover all of the electricity, but that's what this size of system looks like in California. Energy is crazy expensive, so it's really nice that we finally have some solar panels. Recently got $20,000 worth of solar.
It's produced no electricity since it was installed. I had to remove the system and do 1,000 different things to fix it. But the system is turned on right now and it is producing 3,715 watts. There's a lot of people who had solar panel systems installed that they paid for, don't work at all, never worked, or are underperforming because of certain things that were done wrong.
Do not get solar. Learn from my mistakes. Solar panels may seem like a good gift, but they're like a Trojan horse. Like they're literally going to turn around and bite you in the bottom somehow. Basically, solar panels seem like a really good deal because of the way they try to spin it. But really, you're getting into massive debt, and you have to remember this. Like, forget about the monthly payments that are always going to be less than your electric bill, because that's literally how it's designed. That's kind of like the scam part of it. They can always crunch those numbers to make it less than your electric bill. But what you need to remember is you're going to be in that much debt. So if you have a mortgage on your house and your solar panels cost you anywhere between $25,000 and $70,000, that's a huge lump of debt you are going to be in getting solar, and it's very expensive. My experience with solar wasn't very good. My husband and I, at the time, we were living in this house, and my husband decided to get solar, and it took them an entire year. They hooked up the solar panels on the roof pretty quickly, but I think it was an entire year before the permit and everything went through for the solars to be connected to Duke Energy. And guess what? During that entire time, we had to pay our electric bill plus the monthly payment for the solar panel. So you need to remember that you're always going to be responsible for those solar panel payments, despite if something isn't working, if something isn't correct. Every month, you have to pay those payments. Another really big red flag with solar panels for me was within 1 year, and this is no joke, within 1 year, the cost of them went up, I think, by like $50. Okay? So that payment that we were originally quoted went up by $50. So who's to say how much is going to go in the further years? And another huge red flag, this was something that I wasn't able to foresee, but when we decided to move, so if you ever decide to move, you think that contract's transferable. I mean, the contract is transferring to the people who are going to buy your house, but not everyone wants solar panels. And people definitely don't want to take on that much debt. And with the housing market the way it is, like a lot of people can't even afford that debt. So really, unless you have the money to pay off your solar panels, your house is most likely not going to sell or is going to have a very difficult time.
If you have solar panels, or you're thinking about getting solar panels, or you're in a state that wants you to get solar panels, there's a lot of things you got to think about. A lot of people don't take into account when you see the solar salesman come through. A lot of times they'll come through and they'll just hit every house in the neighborhood, and these guys are good, let me tell you. But you really got to think about this. As a real estate agent, real estate agents have a love-hate relationship with them. Lenders have a love-hate relationship with them. And homeowners have a 50-50 relationship with them. Because what they don't tell you, if you don't pay for them cash, they're going to put a lien on your property. And that can be tough to navigate when you go to sell the property. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You got to navigate, how long are they going to last? Who's putting them on there? How old is your roof when you're putting them on there? Because many times you got to take them off to replace the roof, and you got to pay twice to put them on and to take them off, and then you got to put them back on again. You got to worry about your insurance company wanting to accept them. You got to worry about the electrician that's wiring them up. You got to worry about the city allowing you to do it. You got to worry about so many things that the salesman does not tell you, and I'll argue with this until my flag falls off the hill, because sometimes you got to pick a mountain to stand on or go down on.
If you are shopping for a house and you see solar panels on the house, you probably need to understand what that means to you as the buyer. As a lender, often we get contracts and we see that the seller has put solar panels on their house and they've gone into an agreement with a solar panel company. What this means is that their utility bills went down dramatically, but because they didn't have the cash typically to buy the solar panels out, they financed the solar panels over a long period of time, and that payment is typically less than their utility bills would be. But if you buy that house, what you're agreeing to do is take over that loan, and that lien will transfer from the seller to you on your new house and will be there until you pay off the solar panels. In some situations, buyers are able to negotiate with the seller where they pay that loan off in full, but that happens less often than you think. In most cases, the buyer takes over the lien and the payments. If you are shopping for a house and you see solar panels on the house,
some states want you to do it, some states don't. Some states are constantly changing the rules on you. The federal government's constantly changing the rules. And I think if we had a very plain Jane across the board standard on what we're looking at, and not worrying about five different utility companies all trying to give us a different story. Some are trying to sell it back to us. Some are trying to sell it to other people. Some of them are competing with giant solar farms. There's a lot to this stuff. That's why it's so argumentative.
If you are a homeowner in Texas specifically, and a door salesman comes and knocks on your door and gives you all the reasons why it's a great idea to put solar on your house, think again, or keep watching this video. My credentials are, I'm a realtor in Fort Worth, Texas, and I have yet to see solar be a good idea on homes. Not only myself, but all these other realtors before me have said the same thing, and it checks out. Usually, you are signing up for a 20 to 30 year long loan or lease. Why would you lease something? Like, you're already paying for power, so why would you? Anyways, so you're paying for that. Usually in Texas, how much it costs for solar a month is usually what your electricity bill ends up being. So why go through the extra steps whenever it basically just kind of equals out? The other thing is, usually the solar companies will not help take the solar panels off of your home when your roof needs to be replaced. We all know in Texas, roofs don't last 30 years. They last like 5 to 10 years because of all the hail and the storms. So then you have to pay a good chunk of money to get the solar panels taken off so that your new roof can be put on, and then your solar panels can be put back on. Now let's talk about selling your home. Believe me, if these things actually brought value to your house, I would be a salesman. I would be shouting it from the rooftops. Go buy solar, go buy solar. I'm a realtor. Why wouldn't I want your house to have more value in it? No, this is what happens. So you decide to buy solar for between $20,000 to $50,000, usually around a 20 to 30 year loan or lease. What happens is you might be thinking, well, I want to live in my house forever. Very few people do. Very few people do. And it's usually the first time home buyers that get suckered into this, okay? You live in your house, you've been paying on your solar for a couple years. You have again, between $20,000 to $50,000 balance. Somebody wants to buy your house. They realize you have solar. They have to get pre-approved on top of the house, the remaining balance for your solar. Usually people are shopping top of their budget, so they really don't have room to assume a whole solar loan. The other thing is, usually the seller has to end up paying off the loan with their proceeds for a buyer to even be interested in buying the home with solar. What does this do? You net $20,000 to $50,000 less than you originally thought for something that you only used for a handful of years. Wouldn't it be cheaper to just pay your electricity bill versus using solar for a couple of years and then having to pay 20 to 50 grand on it after? Don't do it.
You want to see a real estate agent cringe? Tell them you have solar panels on your house when they go to sell it. Because one, you have this second lien. A lot of people don't take into account that they don't really give that much of appraised value. So you're sitting there with a house at, let's say, $300,000. You got $40,000 second note for solar panels at $40,000. You're really looking for somebody that can qualify for $340,000, not $300,000. Your house is only worth $300,000. You don't even know if everybody wants them. So then you're just looking for somebody that wants to deal with solar panels. Many of the people that tell you my electricity bill is a lot lower, I'm only paying $50 a month, they're not telling you, well, I also got to pay the interest on the note. I've also got this second lien. Some of them are leased, not all of them are like sold outright. And the lender is having to qualify the buyer for that second note too. Debt to income, you got a lot of things going on there. What they don't tell you, that a solar panel's life expectancy is only going to be like 20 or so years, and as they age they're going to produce less and less electricity, so you got to factor that in. If you put them on an old roof, that roof is, for the most part here on the Gulf Coast, that insurance company is going to require you to replace that roof after 15 years. And let's say you put it on at year 8 or whatnot, you got the solar panel. Here on the Gulf Coast you also have the wind debris damage, the wind damage, and your insurance company is going to have to hopefully insure those solar panels. And if they get damaged, will they work? You got hail, you got flying debris, you've got all types of things that can create an issue for your solar panels. There are a few ways I would say that they work. Pay cash for them. Don't put them on your roof. Put them on a shed, put them in the backyard, put them on a skid back there, put them on something. Don't put them on your roof. If you do it that way, where you can have the batteries and the grid and everything off your house, you're going to take away a lot of the risk of fire. You're going to take away a lot of the roof damage problems, because every time you poke a hole in that roof, that is a future leak. I don't care how much silicone you put in there, because silicone and the goo they put up there to try to leak proof is not going to last forever. I mean, 5 years in the sun on that silicone. 8, the can's going to say 10, you're not getting 10. Trust me, I've silicone and gooped a lot of holes, okay? You're not getting it. Pay cash for them. Don't do a second mortgage. I know everybody's going to say, oh, well, how do I afford them? Well, then don't get them. Because if you do the math, plus the risk liability and then trying to sell your house, it's going to be a pain in the butt. I would say most people are not going to live in their house forever. The average is like 5 to 7 years before they're selling. Recently had a client, they'd been there 2 years. They had a second note on the property for $40,000 for these solar panels. That house wasn't selling. It was worth $299 all day. They bought it for $300. There was 5 for sale in the neighborhood at the same time, all the same house, all brand new, all military. They were in a bad situation. And then you just throw on the top of that solar panel. All the other houses look identical to it that don't have solar panels. Who do you think is going to sell first? The ones that are $299 without solar panels, because nobody's got $340. That's just the problem with a lot of this stuff. You got to really think about it.
Stitch this if you've ever done something extremely expensive to your house that you now regret. I'll go first. The thing that I regret the most in doing is these goddamn solar panels. This was the worst thing I could have possibly have done to my fucking house. Oh my God. Now we're going to turn this into a story time too. Let me tell you why it's the worst thing. As of right now, half of my house has I shouldn't say little. It has no electricity whatsoever. I don't know how they did it, but these solar panels and the battery from it has just blew my circuit breakers in my house. Just blew them completely. So, and it's a Sunday, and the company that the solar panels came from, no one's available to answer the phone. So now I'm sitting here. Let me know if you want a story time.
Comment down below if you've had any issues from this, your solar panels, or if you're thinking about it and you've heard about issues. You know, many a times when you go to find these solar companies in the future, they're either gone out of business, they've changed their name, they changed their brand. They do this stuff a lot. I recently just sold a house and it had a solar panel lien on it from an open permit. It had an open permit on it from solar panels that they never put on, and the company had gone out of business. So to close that permit out was like, oh my gosh. And it was like somebody had inherited the property and you couldn't get a notice of commencement done because the county had changed the rules on who can get a notice of commencement. If you're not the owner, if you're just power of attorney, or you're getting it through probate, you got to probate the whole house just to get act of Congress over these daggum solar panels. And nobody wanted to touch the house. You really got to think about, okay, is this a reputable company? Has it been around a while? When your warranty is needed on those solar panels, are they going to actually be there to warranty it? They'll be like, oh yeah, you got a 1-year warranty, 5-year warranty, 20-year warranty. They're not going to be in business in 20 years. They're going to change their name, they're going to rebrand, they're going to sell the company, and they're going to be off and gone. And that's why you see a lot of wiring problems, setup issues, installation problems, especially when they were newer on the market. You know, you just had any old dude out there that was an electrician trying to wire these things up. I could go on and on about wiring stuff from other countries because they don't build them to the standard that the National Electric Code would like actually want you to use. So you wind up seeing a lot of these houses with all kinds of problems. And that's why I've always said there'll be a 5th point on your inspection report in the future. You know, you've got electrical, you've got HVAC, you got roof, you got plumbing, you know, you got your hot water heater, stuff like that, all encompassed in that. And then now you're going to have Tesla plugs or electrical vehicle plugs, and you're going to have solar panel sections because you don't know who installed them. They affect the roof, they affect the wiring of the house. You've got this massive battery. How many times have we seen these batteries go up in flames? Quite a few. And the insurance companies are going to start getting people. Like, I don't know why they haven't. If you're an insurance agent, comment down below why they haven't started enforcing more stuff on solar panels. Because they are a fire waiting to happen. Hashtag don't sue me if they're not done right. That's why I say get them off your house, put them in the backyard, put them on a shed, build a rack for them back there.
Things that the solar agent will not tell you about. You will not get power when there's snow on your panels. You will not get power whenever the sun goes down at 4 o'clock. If your house is gas, you're still going to have an Ameren bill. Just saying.
That's true. How many times do we see that there's issues? You know, snow, rain. So if you're in an area like Seattle, wherever it rains a lot, you know, you're not going to get as much production as you thought you would. If you lived out in the desert, you're going to get a lot of production. You really got to factor that in there too. Do the math on how much are you really getting out of it. And if you're in California, I just watched an article. I just watched a video where they've got too much solar in California to the point where they're changing the rules and they have like a feedback problem to where the electrical company doesn't know what to do with it. And they're just kind of wasting it. Isn't that wild? Utility costs keep going up, but yet they're getting rid of and just kind of trickling off the power that's excessive instead of, you know, lowering your power bill.
Well, here's another reason why solar panels suck. And a lot of home sellers, they don't know this because these places go around and tell them how much value they're going to add to their home and the savings. And, you know, they set them up on these huge long-term payments on these things for 15, 20 years. But anyway, you need to understand that they're personal property, but that solar company will file what's called a UCC onto the title. So for instance, we have a deal right now where the seller's actually delinquent on the solar panels, having some financial difficulties, and there's a UCC on title. So if he doesn't have the money to cure this, and it isn't agreed upon that the buyers are going to take these solar panel leases over, now what? He may be stuck with that house because he can't give clear title like is said in the purchase contract. So you all need to remember, these things, you could get in, look at the economy we're in right now. There could be a chance that somebody out there isn't able to make their payments on these things and need to sell their house. And then these solar companies have their UCC on there.
Let's talk about these bad boys right here. Solar panels. I've probably done a video on these before, but seriously, guys, stop buying the solar panels, please. These cost on average somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000. Some places are more. We'll talk about that more here in a minute, but you are not going to get that value back. You're not going to get it back by reducing the amount that you're paying on your electric bill, nor will you get it back because it doesn't add value to your home. So when you go to sell your home, it's not like it's adding equity. In fact, it'll take away from your equity. They'll tell you that the loan that you take out for the $30,000 or $40,000 for these lovely bad boys is transferable to the new person who buys your home in 3-5 years, whatever it is that you move. And it is. However, those people don't want to buy your solar panels. And even if they do want to buy your solar panels, let's say that your house is a $350,000 home and they're approved for $350,000 barely, which most people are barely approved for the amount, then by assuming this loan, it will mess up their debt to income ratios and they're no longer eligible for the loan for the house. So therefore, they can't assume your loan. Need I also mention that it voids the warranty on your roof. They have to take them off and put them back on when you have to get a roof replacement. And let's face it, most places you have to get a roof replacement like all the time, it feels like. My 2 locations, New Mexico and Florida, it's a hurricane or hailstorm. You got to replace them. I would say probably every 3 to 5 years. They'll tell you they'll last for 20 to 30, but they don't. These days in Florida, if you have solar panels on your roof, there's a good chance you can't even get insurance anymore because it voids the warranty on your roof. So let's talk about this example. This realtor had a client who bought a home about 1.5 years ago, so they don't have a whole lot of equity into the home yet. They now want to sell it, but in the meantime, in that past 1.5 years, about 10 months ago or so, they decided to put solar panels on the house, 55 of them in fact, and it cost them $112,000 to do it. So now they have the mortgage on the house and the loan against the solar panels for $112,000, and they will be upside down in order to sell this home. Moral of the story, please don't get solar panels. I have countless examples of my clients personally, other people's clients that this has happened to, so don't get them.
It's not necessarily the solar panels, it's the logistics behind the deal of the solar panels. Our society just hasn't progressed to the point where we can digest all this stuff between the notes, the lenders, the insurance companies, the city, the electricians, everybody, the roofers that install them. There's a lot of things that go on. I don't even think that the building code has caught up to the idea of these solar panels. Not to mention, in many places and in many times, the homeowner is going to be in a negative equity situation when they go to sell. House worth $300,000, you got a $40,000 second note for some solar panels. You got to pay that off at closing. You're bringing money to the table. It's become the nature of the beast. If we see 10-15% pullback in housing, and this is going to change from one part of the country to the other. Some are going to see pullback, some aren't. Some like Austin, California, New York, y'all are seeing pullbacks, whereas some places that people want to be, you're seeing it hold strong. Some of those people are going to see some massive negative equity situations. It's just the nature of the game. Be very careful, do the math, pay cash, think it out, and you'll probably be fine. You will see real estate agent after real estate agent after real estate agent after lender after lender after lender saying the same thing over and over. Don't put solar panels on your house. There's a reason behind it, because we see people make this mistake at the end of their transaction every time. And then you want to see a deal get all the way to day 29 and the lender's having problems qualifying the person with the solar panels. And I think in the future, underwriters knowing all this is going to want a second, maybe appraisal of the solar panels somewhere in there. I can just see it coming because it's hemming up so many deals. It's having so many problems with getting things across the finish line. Like, I can see so many things. It's just so many things that could affect the deal. So you've heard from many different perspectives here about the idea of solar panels. And in conclusion, I would say just a handful of things. Pay cash for them. Don't put them on your house. Put them on a shed, on a skid in the side yard, platform in the backyard, stand them up somehow. But the moment you start poking holes in your roof, you're going to start having problems. Create insurance problem, roof problem, warranty problems. Every extra note you put on your house is one more ability to lose your house. There are many people that are losing their houses to solar panel payments. Have a complication and all of a sudden some part of their monthly just went up. All of a sudden we're seeing solar panel companies consume houses, single-family residential houses, just like nursing homes. They are there, they get the judgment against you, they get the property, and they own your house. And don't think it can't happen, because anytime you have a loan on a property, that is one way that you can lose that property. It just increases the risk of the deal. This is your house, and I get that utilities are expensive. Unless you do this right, I would second guess this. I've never been a fan of solar panels. I get power is expensive, but so are solar panels. You're paying the interest on the note, the risk on the note. When you go to sell the property, is the person going to want those solar panels up there? They're a depreciating asset. You could wind up being upside down on the equity in your house, and they could affect the closing of the property. There's just a lot of things here. Well, not to mention your insurance could either be non-existent or go up because you now have these things on it, and you create a fire hazard. So there's a lot of things to think about. That's my opinion on this. As a real estate agent, I see this all the time. I'm not gonna lie, I cringe when I see solar panels on a house. And then the next question to come out of my mouth is, how much do you owe on them? And if there's a lot of outstanding balance and there's a second note, then all of a sudden I get really worried. The higher price point the house is, the less I worry. The lower price points are the ones that I worry, because getting a buyer that's qualified to buy that house, if it's not cash outright, gets a lot harder. When you get up towards the luxury properties, it's not that big of a deal. But that's my opinion on this. If you happen to be looking for real estate on the Gulf Coast of Florida, Alabama, my email is down below. And if you happen to be looking for a real estate agent anywhere in the country, email me. I'll be able to help you find an agent. I'll do my best. I know a lot of people. And I'll see you guys on the next video. This one was an interesting